Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back. Welcome back Monday morning. Happy New Year, all that good stuff. But I'm out here just kind of contemplating some couple options, couple things, ideas, whatever you want to call them for myself. And instead of just doing this by myself, I figured I'd bring you guys along and basically just think out loud here, let you guys hear it. Chat will be going, so drop questions if you need to. But in general, I'm just looking at a couple products I'll show you here, and then just trying to get an idea if I like them, if I want to go that way, what the deal is. But we're going to be using Hydro Buddy, and I'm going to show you a couple nutrients and some things that I found a new page this morning. So anyway, um, let's join it. Let a few people join in. This was an unplanned stream, so but really it's for people to watch back. It's not necessarily to watch live. All right, fantastic. Okie dokie. So first off, let's go to for any of you joining just now, if you go back and watch any of the nutrient videos I've ever done, over the years we've been compiling this spreadsheet of nutrient breakdowns. This is NPK and all the micros associated with it, and then the elemental ppm is literally just the addition of all these individual ppm above it. Don't necessarily pay attention to it. We can talk EC, we can talk strengths later. This is just as is, but got everything. We've got the traditional jacks 3, 2, 1 at full strength. The recent things I've been running at jacks 4 to 2. This is a new one we're going to talk about here today, which is the whole thing. It's the whole reason it's here is this one. We also have Athena Pro, Crop Salt, Front Row Ag, Floraflex is on here. Veg Bloom, miss those guys. They actually, honestly, one of the better things out there. Mega Crop. You look at the list. There's everything is here. But a new product came online today, and how would we even find this? Let's go back. It's kind of hidden, but it's a product from Masterblend, and it's essentially a nitrogen-less version of Jax, or the quote unquote the classical hydroponic mix. You may see things as like 51126 or 51226. Those are both formulas Jax or J.R. Peters initiated, but is essentially the standard hydroponic special formula in the industry now. So a couple of people have it. These guys are one of them, Masterblend. And I don't care for the copy formula, the Me Too. That's great. Everyone can sell it. But do something different, or do something that people like myself or other people have been asking for is good to see. And sorry, I'm getting a little off track here, but here we go. Soluble NPK, and then let's go to Masterblend and see if we can find it. Here we go, 01224. Cannabis bloom formula, and you can't find it on their website. This is technically out of stock till like the 6th, 1/6, so end of the week here. Should be coming in. Great price, standard price as any kind of 25-pound bag, and looks really good. I'd be curious to see what it looks like in hand, the actual quality of the inputs. I don't expect it to be anything but great. Masterblend makes good stuff, but long story short, it's a nitrogen-less hydro mix. So you have a true A and B. We can combine this with calcium nitrate or a pure cal or any of those and get some fantastic ratios. And on top of it, I mean, I say fantastic ratios because they're what I've been running for 5, 7 years, whatever. 10 years now, wow. 8 years. But you can change them so easily by adjusting specifically. And then on top of that, we can do the full pull the nitrogen late, and calcium. We'll talk about calcium at the end of it, but calcium at the beginning is extremely, extremely high with this mix, depending how we do it. So I'm going to open up Hydro Buddy here, guys. I run the Mac thing, so as I've told you before, just click through the menu. It says it can't find some stuff. Hit open. It finds everything you need. Main page, let's adjust our stuff. Let's go to 1 gallon, 1 per gallon. Desired concentrations, perfect. And I already have some stuff in here from the other day. I don't know why we have iron in here, but Jack's part A, calcium nitrate, calcium sulfate, pure, blah, 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 perfecto. Okay, so Masterblend, if we look at classic Jacks, what I'm running now, 4 to 2. 4 to 2. We get all these ratios, but we can look right here at the spreadsheet, and we don't really have to do it. 4 to 2, here's the ratios you get. Well, here is Masterblend. Well, first off, Jacks with the 2-part. I should have added that. We could do that. So maybe I'll do this. It's hard to do this for myself and do this for you guys as a video because I'm trying to make it at least make sense. But at the same time, I want to get things done how I would get them done in my own head. Regardless, you can see this. And what you'll notice right here is Jacks 4 to 2 and this are extremely, extremely similar. And essentially the only difference in the mix is they don't put potassium nitrate in it. That's it. So you don't get the nitrogen and you get a little less potassium. And that's super noticeable at when you run it at 4 to 2 or 4 grams of Masterblend. Look at, you lose, what is that? Almost 20 ppm of, you lose like 18 ppm of potassium. And obviously you lose all the nitrogen. But phosphor, exactly the same because it's a 12 mix. Magnesium is a touch lower, but that's okay. We can work with that. Obviously, it has no calcium, no sulfur, but that's fine because we're going to use it in a full part mix and do some things. So, but you look at the rest of it, it's pretty similar across the board. It's got good iron levels, good micro levels across the board. Nothing out of the ordinary, nothing overly strong. Technically, it could definitely use some more manganese and things, but we'll talk about that later. I'm more concerned with this mix and these master blends. I'm more concerned about the NPK and calcium levels. So that's the blank with no calcium, but let's go back to Hydro Buddy here. And we'll zero out Jacks and we'll zero out calcium nitrate. But let's go 4 grams of Masterblend. And gives us exactly what we just saw in the spreadsheet here. But now let's start saying, okay, that's our base. We like those potassium levels. And this is for bloom. This is for bloom, for flower. I really like those phosphor levels. I really like those potassium levels. And now let's start getting our nitrogen levels where we think they should be. So for bloom, I'd like to be running right around 100 to 120, depending on where we are. Early in stretch, I'd like to keep that up at like 130 parts per million of nitrogen. But as you get through stretch, definitely taper it down towards 100 parts per million. Whether that's 110, 100, 120 is okay, but just start pushing it down that way. So how would we get to say 130 and how would we then drop that down to 100? And we can do that simply by adding calcium nitrate. And so we're going to start with the classic 2 grams, but because there's no nitrogen in the mix, I'm going to tell you right now, it's not going to get us anywhere. So 2 grams of calcium nitrate, it gets us as much calcium as it always did before. We have 100 parts per million of calcium. That's what we've always had before. But we're only at 76 parts per million of nitrogen. And that's the key there. We need to get that to 130. So if we get that to 130, we're going to also increase calcium. So look how high we're going to get calcium, and that's all a good thing. Nothing about that is bad. We're going to pump the shit out of calcium. It's awesome. So that's why I really like this. And that's what I've told Jax. Jax is coming out with this. By the way, I'm wearing a Jax hoodie. I think I'm wearing a Jax shirt under this. I'm not sponsored by Jax. I don't get anything free from Jax except like once a year I get some t-shirts and a hoodie. That's it, and some stickers. And that's it. It's not because I talk good. It's just because they like me and I'm a nice guy. So I'm not biased towards anything. What I'm biased is like Athena. I love, here straight up, I love everything Athena says. They say all the right stuff. Mentality wise, where they're pushing their nutrients, why they're doing things they do, everything is legit. What's not legit is their business model and what they charge to get that stuff. And that's why I don't like Athena. I absolutely love the mentality or the concept of Athena. They do what I would like to do and what I try to do with other nutrients and what this is allowing you to do. But I just can't, you can't charge 7 times what Jax, what Masterblend, what God, why can't I think of it? It's not Masterblend. Grow more. You just can't you can't charge that much more for simply, anyway. That's what I don't like about Athena. So I have no issues with Masterblend. I have no issues with Grow More. Any of these guys who are doing it on a pretty, big ag price scale model kind of thing. So anyway, Jax is coming out with this. I don't really care if they do or don't. As long as when I get this, I already am putting an order for one of these bags. When I get this bag, it's good. There's no caking. I don't have any issues with like the solubility or anything, which I don't expect to. I have no expectations to. It should be fantastic. But obviously I'm just going to check it. And if that's the case and it works and Jax comes out with it, I'm not going to go buy the Jax one just so I can say, oh, I used the Jax one. I'm going to use this because they came out first, and that's what I got. Maybe down the line, because I like Jax as a company, I might use it. But just so you know, people say, oh, I'm so biased. I'm not biased. I'm biased against the dollar. You can't charge 7 times as much and try to play on the same playing field. It just does not work. Okay, so back to Hydro Buddy. So if we're going to get it up there, honestly, guys, we got to run 3 grams. 3 grams gets us to 114. But look how much calcium we have. 150 parts per million of calcium. There's not one mix. Let's go to calcium here. There's not one mix that gets that close. Other than Masterblend. I guess you could say Masterblend is the only one that's really pumping too much. Crop Salt's got a good amount in there because they have a low nitrogen formula as well. But no one's up above 130. Oh, sorry, Vegelim. Of course, Vegelim. Extremely high calcium. That's why we love them, is super high calcium. But they're a 1 part. So you get it. Anyway, let's keep going because we're not quite at 130 yet. We're only at 114. We have more to go. So 3.5. Oops. 3.5. So at 3.5 grams per gallon. So at 4 grams of Masterblend 01224 and 3.5 grams of calcium nitrate, we get a formula that gives us 130 parts per million of nitrogen. Oh, actually a little bit more because we're using ammonium nitrogen. We're almost at 140 there because you have both parts per million there. So we could back that down. Let's just see what 3 point. What is 3? That does get us, okay, so I mean really it's probably like 3 1/4, right? 3.25 will get us total, okay, 3.25. That's a pretty money number if we're shooting for the 130. Honestly, I think 140, 150 is no issue, especially in like veg early flower, not at all. But for the sake of argument, we'll go 4 to 3.25, and this is the mix it gives us. And in my opinion, that is a really good flowering mix from start of flower on, whether you changed it or not. And then exactly what we just did to get the nitrogen levels up as you start to progress towards flower, and you're like, oh, I need and before we go, we still have 160 parts per million of calcium. We really only need like 100 to 120 to be really successful. So anything more is just additional. It's fantastic. So as we start to say, oh, we want less nitrogen, let's get that down to 100. Let's go to like 2.75 to 2.75. Gets us just a little bit closer to 110, which is pretty good. We still have 140 parts per million of calcium, so we could go a little more. Let's go 2.5. 2.5 is damn money. So that gives us 100 parts per million of nitrogen going through bulk of flower, still 125 parts of calcium, and then obviously our potassium and phosphor levels stay exactly where they're at, and we can adjust those. Say we wanted a little bit more potassium, so all of a sudden we're like, okay, we're going through the beginning of flower, we switch over and we go 3.25, and we push this through the beginning of flower up until week 3, and then we start to teeter it out. We go, okay, what did we say, 5 or 7.5? I said 2.5. Okay, so then we start to teeter out after stretch. We teeter it out, but we also want to do a little bit of a push. So this is the week right after stretch, and then come week 5, we're like, okay, we're gonna do a little bit of a potassium push, and honestly, we should do it right after stretch, to be honest. Okay, let's go to 4.5. What does that get us? So pay attention to the potassium and pay attention to the phosphor. 55 and 210. As we up a half a gram, we go to 236. And 62. We obviously get some micros and some other things to come along with that. But neither here nor there. We're kind of focusing on the NPKs here. So that's a way to do a little bit of a boost. And then as we get back, we can bring it back down to 4 till the end of flower there and ride that out and continue to like drop off nitrogen a little bit. Now we're really dropping it off, and then we can talk about, I would ride this out till the end till the end. That this would be perfect. You should not run into any issues. It's super low nitrogen, but still enough to keep growth going. This is a really good, that's exactly how I would run it. So, that's it. Sorry, I'm gonna check chat real quick, see what you guys, I've just like lost you, so I feel bad. Hey, Mike, later, bro. Okay, so that's what I'm looking at, honestly. That is exactly what I'm looking at if I'm going to switch off of Jax. Now, before we go, everyone will say 0, 12, 24. That's exactly the same as Athena, and it is. Except Athena takes their micros and they lock it in with calcium nitrate. So what used to, like in this, it's all in here. So Masterblend, the Bloom formula, has all the micros in it. All these come from the Masterblend. We can take out the calcium nitrate here, and we still hold on to all our micros. Athena's the exact opposite. All their micros are in with calcium nitrate. And the reason they do that is so that you have to buy their calcium nitrate. Calcium nitrate is a generic salt, more or less. Like I have some of Jax's brand calcium nitrate, but like they buy it from a source and mark it up and blah, blah, blah. So you can go straight to Yara and get it more or less from the source, or more direct than through a distribution channel or something like that. Or actually you would get it through a distribution channel like Custom Hydroponics, like here. We would get, where's custom? Oh, right here. Like we could get water soluble, and then we could go to soluble calcium, and we could get a few different versions of calcium nitrate. Because Athena locks their micronutrients to their calcium nitrate, you have to buy theirs. You don't get to buy 50 pounds for $37. You have to buy 50 pounds from them for $386. a 10x markup. And that's why I don't like Athena. But again, I absolutely love their mentality of what they're trying to do and what they're trying to allow with their nutrient system. The business model doesn't fit me and what I support in this industry. So that's it. But from an actual just data on paper, conceptually what they're trying to push, what they're trying to do, they're doing it all right. Like even the new I keep wanting to call it cleanse because it's calcium chloride, but the new fade, the new finish product. If you guys watched my last grow, you guys saw that I used calcium sulfate. Do I have it? Big bag of Colombian Bam Bam. Calcium sulfate for the flush. And the idea is that at the end, when we start to drop nitrogen, when we stop to drop all this stuff and we start to get deficiencies, we basically want to prevent end rot. In other crops, it'd be called end rot, but we want to keep the calcium high. We want to keep the cells strong, whether they're fully healthy and filled or not. We want to keep them strong, impenetrable, and that's what calcium's job is. So this new push, you'll hear guys like Slow Nickel, who's pushing all this micronized calcium sulfate, calcium phosphate, things like that, really pushing that kind of calcium high at the end of flower. Athena is as well. I'm doing it as well. It's all the same concept. Again, high calcium. It's just how we're doing it. And me and Slow Nickel are on a pretty similar path. And the reason I'm using calcium sulfate is because I don't use like a concentrated solution. If I was using dosatrons or if I was using a concentrated solution, calcium sulfate would not work for me, and I'd have to go to calcium chloride. Calcium chloride is not the perfect solution. It's great. It's great for if you have a concentrate batch mix and you're pumping it out. It works. It doesn't do anything bad. Calcium sulfate, on the other hand, does everything right as long as you're not putting it in a concentrated solution. If it's in the final batch, it does everything right. It ups your sulfur levels for flavor and appeal at the end of flour, and then it's providing an absolute ton of calcium in a soluble form, whether it's micronized or not. So really, really good stuff there. And that's it. So that's the push at the end of flour. But you'll realize at the end, that formula I showed you, you're still running 100 parts per million of calcium all the way till the end. It's basically the same thing. I'm just doing it because I'm dropping out certain mixes that, such as calcium nitrate, I drop it out entirely. I need to supplement with the calcium sulfate. It's things like that. But with the Masterblend, with things like this, 4 to 2 or 4 to 3.5, whatever I just showed you, that all works. And now before I let you go, what you'll notice in this Masterblend little mix here is the magnesium is just a little low. It's very interesting because Athena comes out as, this is what Athena calculates out as, but I had a buddy who did a solution test. He's done a couple of them, and all these numbers check out pretty well, except they have a lot more magnesium in their mix than it says here. They come in at like 50 to 60 parts per million, which is absolutely money. It's just more than the data says, which is perfectly legal to do. It's just, it's hard to calculate and do, get your ducks in a row if labels and results don't always match. And guys like Jax, guys like Masterblend, guys who go to big ag and deal with the USDA and things like that, like they don't mess around. When they say this, it doesn't mean they'll overshoot it by 100%. When they say that, they're going to hit that pretty much every time. These other guys in the canna world, they say the minimum and then they just throw a ton because they know they're going to overshoot it and they know it's good enough. So it's an interesting little tactic, but that's the only knock on Athena. But there's companies that do things way worse as far as that minimum thing go, and they're worthless for it. But anyway, we can just pump up this magnesium level with magnesium sulfate. And on top of that, because there's no magnesium sulfate in the main mix, or very limited, we have very little sulfur, actually 0 sulfur in the Masterblend mix. So to get both the calcium level, sulfur, and magnesium levels up, we simply go here and let's go back to our base formula of 3.25. And now to get that magnesium level up, we just add in some Epsom salt. And we're going to add 1 gram per gallon. And all of a sudden we're at 68. We could probably do with like 0.75. 0.75. That would be, to me, that's the ultimate mix. Pretty much, if I was going to run one mix through Bloom and never change it, this would be what I'd run with these. But the beauty of these three is that you can change it as much or as little or as whatever you want. But this is what I would run. 4 grams of the Bloom, 3.25, maybe 3, maybe 3.5, whatever you're feeling on the calcium nitrate. It's all appropriate. And then around 0.75 to a gram if you're feeling lazy and you don't want to measure. It's not going to necessarily overdo it, but I think 0.75 is perfect. And just for shits and giggles, let's see what a half a gram would get you. Yeah, and honestly, I think a half a gram is appropriate as well. So anywhere from a half a gram to a gram of magnesium sulfate. Again, what your plants are telling you. That's pretty good. Oh, I don't have you guys on the right scene. My bad. Okay, so here. This is the mix I would run. This is it. This is what I was just talking with. You guys didn't really see it, but we'd run half a gram to a gram and 4 to 3 to 3.5. Go organic. if you want to go back in, no one ever wants to do this because it takes forever to scroll on Instagram to do it. But if you want to go back, you can look at organic gardens on my YouTube. Or yeah, actually, I do have organic grows on the YouTube as well as on my Instagram. There's Blue Dream. There's high pressured sodium. This is the second channel after the original, so there's some things that aren't exactly chronological. But for those of you in the chat saying go organic, blah 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 blah, been there, done that. Has its time, has its place, but it's not a this versus that kind of thing. So anyway, you can go back, check it all out. I grew some great cannabis organically. I just grow better and more consistent cannabis with salt-derived or ionic salt-based nutrients. So, but you can look at indoor, you can look at outdoor, you can look at fields, you can look at little pots. I've done it all in soil. We're talking anything from 2 gallons of soil to 200 gallons of soil. Technically, the largest I ever used in my life was a 400-gallon pot. When you have to use a little bobcat to move your pots around, it just, you know. No, everyone's freaking out already. I saw just the last comment, and maybe not freaking out, but I've seen it a couple times. I'm not switching from Jax per se. This is just something I'm looking at. It's something new to the market. It's something that I've asked Jax for, and I've asked other people for. And it looks good. It gives me the ability to do what I would want to do at all levels. I may run it I may end up with this formula. I would basically run it exactly how I've been running Jax. It just gives me a little bit more control. Like I've always, like if I called it, like if this was my formula and I had to market this, I would call it full control. That's pretty much what I would call it. And then I would also give you an MPK. Like it's so easy to market this stuff. It's crazy. And that's why companies jump in and they're like, oh my God, look at this. It does that. Because it's very easy to say things like to put a narrative out there that puts it that way. But no, this isn't going to be anything different per se than what I'm running. It just gives me a little bit more control. Lets my dials go a little bit more each way than it did before. So, and I don't know, it doesn't come in for another week, so I got to still order it and blah, blah, blah. And, we'll see. But someone brought it to my attention, and then someone else brought it to my attention like an hour later, and I can't ignore it. It's exactly what I've been asking for. So, the only issue is now I'm to the point where I don't even want to use a MVK mix. I want to use Jack's Most or J.R. Peters Most. Because talking with slow nickel and some things, trying to up the manganese levels and possibly the boron levels as well. I kind of just want to do my own MPK and let me deal with the micros. Because that's where, what I hope you guys realize at this point, is at least in the top formulas, what people consider like the top brands, I hope you'll notice some serious consistencies as far as nitrogen levels, as far as where we're tapping out at potassium levels, because that's kind of the ceiling, and then also where you're running the phosphor levels. And it's coming from data too. I mean, there's some studies that show no more than 60 parts per million of phosphor is degrading to yield and quality. Anywhere from 30 to 60 it depends. It's more strain dependent at that, but up to 60 seems to be the max. So you'll notice a lot of things in the phosphor category topping out at around 60 parts per million at the recommended dose. Obviously, you can up it in concentration and go above that, but see things like that. Then you'll start to see things like 150 parts per million of nitrogen is quote unquote too much. So you'll start to see things like 130, 120 become much more standard. Magnesium levels, same thing, right around 30 to 50 parts per million. And you see some consistencies come about. And what you start to realize is that it's not the MPKs that are magical. And I shouldn't even say there's anything else that's in there that's magical. But what's going to get the next 10% out of the crop is not in the MPK mix. It's not pushing the potassium from 210 to 220. That's not going to revolutionize what's going on. but basically the constraining or the limiting factor, it's somewhere else in the chain. And the thought is boron, molybdenum, and manganese are kind of the hot topics. And phosphor and calcium kind of being talked about as they kind of unleash more potential of the rest of it, but that's it. So sorry, again, remember at the beginning, this was me talking out loud and you guys are just joining. So if it's a mumbo jumbo, I apologize, but that's what we're here for. But yeah, I look at all these mixes and it really is going to start to be the difference of, okay, how close can we get manganese levels to our iron levels? Can we get boron closer to 1%? Can we get calcium over 120 or 150 even? Can you keep nitrogen below 100? Things like that. Those are going to be the differentiating factors, I think, going forward. So hope that helps. Yeah, the micros, and I'm not an expert, just to be clear. I am by no means an expert in nutrients at any level. This is all self-taught by necessity. I mean, I started running synthetic. I came from organics because everyone was so pissed off when I ran the original everyone was so pissed off when I ran the original HPS versus Apache AT600 side by side, which they basically came out equal for, way less watts, but obviously at the time price was $2,500 or something. Some is pricey to do. I get it. But everyone's like, oh, you have no control. Like the HPS side needs this and the LED side needs this. And little does everyone know, I ran that room way more tailored towards the HPS than, or everyone should know, it wasn't a secret, but like it was way more tailored towards the HPS run than it was like a new high humidity, high temperature LED run. So anyway, they always push like, oh, you have no control, you have no this. And so synthetic nutrients and being able to tell you exactly what I had down to the ppm, that all came out of needing more control on my side-by-sides and my runs, things like that. And it just continues on. But I'm not, by no means a nutrient expert. I've just kind of been doing this for a while and looking at it from a more analytical point than most people out there. And as with everything we do here with me and the channel and yada yada, hype can suck it, and we're all about the data and the actual transparency and results. So that's why I've become a nutrient guy. And then I just go down the rabbit hole, and like anyone else, you start thinking things and you start looking for solutions, and here we go. And a few people like what I'm saying, like what I'm doing. It is good when companies like Peters or Jax or other ones that I won't give names for, but I've gotten reached out to by a bunch of companies to work with for consultation, for just ideas to bounce off. And that's cool. That's how it worked with the LEDs. That's why I'm the I went from, it's what people do with me for LEDs. It's what you guys do with me for nutrients. And that's the point. I don't get paid by Jax. I have a personal preference for them, but I don't get paid by them. I don't have any reason to use them over someone else. And the same goes with the LEDs. I definitely have no interest in LEDs these days. I'm very agnostic in that. I'm using Apaches because I'm good buddies with them. So friends, but open to anything else in the garden. Plenty of people have approached me. You know me, I'm not going to put shit in there. But a good quality light, like you'll see other brands come through the garden over the next couple of years here. So you'll see that, and you will see things like Athena will get ran in the garden, just so we can say we ran it, we can show it. I got it at 50% off, so things like that. At a sale, I've had it forever. So there's things to come, but just we're agnostic here, but we have some, there's no doubt. It's reigning champs, dude. It's just, when you win for me, you get my loyalty, and that's what Jax has done. I've paid for all my nutrients, and it's always performed. And it's just like my lights. That's why I use Samsung and Cree diodes, because every light I've ever built with either of those brands have always outperformed anything I've gotten with other brands. And I've done some warranty things with Cree. And anyway, I use brands because they win for me, and whether you guys use them or not, it makes no difference, because I don't make any money off any of this shit. So literally, this YouTube's not even monetized. The only thing that's monetized on this YouTube is when you go to those Amazon links below and it says like, hey, these are used for me. You go to Amazon, and whatever you buy after you click through my link, I get a kickback from. It doesn't cost you guys anything more, but Amazon gives you anywhere from like 4 to 8% kickback sometimes. And you don't even have to buy the thing you click on. You just click on the Amazon link in any of my videos, and you could buy, if you could buy a car through Amazon, I would get credit for you buying that car if you bought it in the next 24 hours after you click that link. That's the only monetized aspect of anything on my channel. And I don't leverage it at all. I really should, because I really should be pushing like this is a sick little jar. Get off Amazon for 40 bucks. It's a vacuum sealed jar. I could do a whole video on this. Tell you how cool it is, how good it keeps my buds, yada, yada, yada. Here's the link. Go buy one. You guys probably all flock to it and buy it. Probably not a bad idea, but I really don't care to do all that stuff that much. I'd rather come on here and be boring for 20, 30 minutes, but give someone that information that when they're looking at here and they don't care about being bored or entertained, they care about winning or losing. They take that information, they go to their garden, and they win. That's it. And I should stop using win, because that sounds like Craft Farmer, and I don't want to sound like Craft Farmer. That's a horrible sound. But anyway, that's it. That's why I do it. So if you want, go to the Amazon link, do some shopping, support the channel, yada, yada, yada. But really makes no difference. Bong rip. I like it. I'm not going to do one here on the channel just because it's, it is what it is. But I did some rosin of the last crop. Next level. Pie-ho, next level. The Potty Mouth, which was the grow-off strain, smoking-wise, pretty mediocre. It's very creamy. I call it a cream strain. Very mellow, but made some really good extracts, like visually out of this world. Yeah, buy a car on Amazon, exactly. Or a bed, you go buy like a mattress or this or that. But that's the extent of Green Jeans monetization. Just no need for it. You're never gonna find. I do have Patreon. I don't do anything on it, but like I staked out the name. Anytime there's a media platform, social media, this or that, I go get my name. I want to make sure that's done, because there's a guy he's never called himself Garden in his life, but he's tried to take that term. Anyway, so you might see me, but no, you'll never be out. There's gonna be no paywalls for this. It is what it is. But what I just realized, I'm pretty sure I'm wearing a Jax hoodie. Talk about shill. It matches. They're blue and blue. Anyway, also picked up some fresh Epsom salt. I don't know. Go check out Rite Aid had a sale on this. Epsom salt is Epsom salt. Whether you get the ag grade, the solution grade, the whatever, it's the cheapest stuff around, and because it's used so much on like a on humans type of medical situation, USP, when it says 100% USP magnesium sulfate, that means 100% US pharmacopoeia, which means used for pharmaceuticals, and it's as pure as anything gets. And that's what Walgreens, that's what CVS, as long as it doesn't have like the lavender or any of the scents in it, it's just pure magnesium sulfate. Go pick it up from Rite Aid, Walgreens, drugstore, Uncle Sam, whoever the hell has it. And not Uncle Sam, the government. Fuck the government. But yeah, just make sure it says 100% USP, and you're good to go. Had to get a prescription for my kid and picked up some magnesium sulfate on the way out. Anyway, that's all I got for you. I can sit here and read chat for a while, and I appreciate the support, guys. Appreciate everyone jumping on, saying hey. Good little thing. And also, I will keep you guys posted. I'm not switching from Jax. All my plants are currently ran from Jax, but that Masterblend is on my eye here. So may end up getting on it, and if and when I do, I will let you know.